You know that can of tuna that's probably sitting in your pantry right now? We all think of it as a quick, cheap, and hey, healthy source of protein. It's a go-to for a fast lunch, but what if that seemingly harmless staple is hiding some pretty nasty secrets? Let's find out what's really inside. We're going to pull back the lid on the entire canned tuna industry because we have to ask the question, is that convenient meal you're grabbing actually setting a trap for your health? For a lot of the big brands out there, the answer is, shockingly, yes.
You've probably been there. You pop the top, you're expecting that fresh smell of the ocean, and instead, bam, you get hit with a smell like stagnant sewer water. It's a stench that just makes you question everything. And let me tell you, if you've ever had that moment of doubt, you were absolutely right to be suspicious.
All right, so let's name names. We're going to start by exposing the three major brands that have repeatedly let consumers down, whether it's through corporate greed, terrible quality, or just outright health risks.
First up, Starkist. You know, with its friendly little cartoon mascot, it feels like an American classic. But wow, behind that friendly face is a pretty ugly history of betrayal that starts with a massive, deliberate scheme against its own customers.
And the thing is, with Starkist, the problems just keep piling up. This wasn't some mistake. The company was actually convicted of intentionally jacking up prices. And while they were busy lining their pockets, the quality just went down the drain. Customers started reporting cans of mush that fall apart like, and I quote, wet tissue. And on the health side, a single serving can pack up to 360 milligrams of sodium. That's not a healthy lunch, that's a salt bomb, usually overprocessed with who knows what fillers and a chemical brine.
And that price-fixing thing, we're not talking a small fine. The U.S. Department of Justice slapped them with a $100 million fine. Let that sink in. That's not a slap on the wrist. That's a massive penalty that shows you just how big this deception really was. This wasn't an accident, people. It was a strategy.
Okay, next on our list is Chicken of the Sea. That smiling mermaid on the can promises seafood with integrity. But if you look past that, what's really lurking inside those cans is a story of some seriously dangerous shortcuts and shocking contaminants.
Okay, so the deception here is on a few different levels. First, instead of solid tuna, a lot of their cans are just padded with scraps of other fish. It's a classic bait and switch. Second, the quality is famously bad, often described as a watery paste with a slimy film. But the most alarming part? They had a recall for actual metal fragments found in their cans. If that wasn't bad enough, independent tests have found their mercury levels are creeping dangerously close to the FDA's limit.
This quote from a consumer forum, it just says it all, doesn't it? It's kind of funny in a dark way, but it really drives home the terrifying reality of what happens when a company puts its profits way ahead of your safety. This isn't just about bad tuna. This is a potential hazard.
And rounding out our list of brands to avoid is Bumblebee. You know, for decades, this was the brand, a total pantry staple. But honestly, the brand today is just a shadow of what it used to be, and it's now known more for its soupy, unhealthy contents than for being a reliable protein.
The collapse is pretty obvious the second you open the can. What you find is this watery mess that smells like damp cardboard. Whistleblowers have even suggested that fillers can make up nearly a third of what's inside. The company's own instability is a huge red flag. They filed for bankruptcy back in 2019. But the biggest problem of all is safety.
And when we talk about safety failures, we're not talking about a small mistake. Bumblebee had to recall over 31,000 cases of tuna because of contamination risks from their own processing errors. That's not a small batch. That's a systemic failure that put thousands and thousands of people at risk.
So here's where we stand. On one side, you've got the big gamble. Mushy fillers, hidden mercury, sky-high sodium, and a track record of corporate deceit. On the other side, you have the guarantee. Firm, real fish, every single one tested for safety. Low sodium and total transparency. The difference is night and day, and it proves better options are out there.
Okay, so after all that doom and gloom, let's talk about the good news. Let's turn to the solution. We're going to look at two brands that are actually getting it right, proving that honesty and quality can still be found in a can.
First up is SafeCatch. And this brand, seriously, built its entire mission around one simple but honestly revolutionary idea: putting consumer health and safety above absolutely everything else. They don't just talk the talk, they prove it.
So what does testing every single fish actually mean for you? Well, think about it. Most brands will test a few samples from a gigantic batch of fish. SafeCatch tests every single fish. If a fish doesn't meet their super strict standard, which is way tougher than the FDA's, it never, ever makes it into a can. This commitment is a total game changer for safety.
And because of that, you get some amazing real-world benefits. You get the lowest mercury limit of any brand on the market. You get these firm, delicious flakes of tuna because they slow-cook the fish to keep the nutrients in. There are absolutely no fillers, no weird additives, no cheap brine. And you can even trace your can back to the source. That is what accountability looks like.
All right, our second hero brand is Crown Prince. This is a company that really focuses on clean, simple ingredients and has become a go-to for health-conscious shoppers, especially anyone who needs to keep an eye on their sodium. And this number right here, it says everything. 0. While those other brands are packing over 300 milligrams of sodium into a tiny serving, Crown Prince offers a no-salt-added option, 0 milligrams. For anyone managing their blood pressure or just trying to eat clean, this is the difference between a safe meal and a dangerous one. So their promise to you is super clear. You get that zero sodium option, a real commitment to sustainability. They're certified by the Marine Stewardship Council. You get real, solid chunks of albacore, not mush. And you get transparent info about where your fish came from. It's simple, it's honest, and it's safe.
So, now you know. You've got the inside scoop, and you actually have the power to protect yourself and your family. Let's wrap things up with a super simple guide for your next trip to the grocery store.
Here's your quick and easy checklist. Think of it as your 3-step pantry audit. First, check the brand. You now know the 3 to steer clear of. Second, flip that can over and read the sodium. Aim for those beautiful words, no salt added. And third, look for proof of quality. Look for certifications like that MSC Blue Fish logo or explicit claims about mercury tests.
You know, at the end of the day, it really all boils down to this choice. The cans might look the same sitting on the shelf, but we've just seen that what's inside can be worlds apart. So the next time you reach for that quick lunch, which one are you going to trust? The gamble or the guarantee?